Hello everybody and welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is a slightly different video than usual because in this box are 20 copies of my very first traditionally published art book. This project has been a dream come true. I have been literally working on this book for over a year. As of this moment of publishing this video, we're only about 2 weeks away from the publication date. Before we open this box, I want to kind of take you through all the work that went into creating this book and talk to you about some of the reasons why I'm really proud of the result and some things I learned and basically what the book is about. Make sure to stick around until the end of this video so we can flip through the book together and look at some of the interior pages and take a look at how the tutorials are structured and the supplies. So the first thing to know about this book is that it's a tutorial book of 25 step-by-step watercolor tutorials. But I didn't want it to be just another tutorial book. At the beginning of the book, the reader is invited to imagine themselves as a wizard creating their own watercolor dimension. The entire premise of the book is that watercolor is wizardry because you use a wand, which is your brush, and alchemy, which is paint derived from all sorts of minerals and stone and rock and slate, and you can literally create any kind of illustration, person, scene, environment onto your scroll, which is your watercolor paper. Wizards create adventures for unsuspecting heroes and heroines, which is exactly what we will be doing in this book. So just like that, the entire book follows suit, with each tutorial having a short introduction. In some tutorials we meet fellow wizard colleagues, and in other tutorials we meet foes. We also learn about ancient books that should never have been written, secret wizarding orders. There are also talking trees, portals, dragons. The book has 5 chapters in total, and when you read each chapter heading together, it's meant to sound like ingredients of a potions recipe. Chapter 1, Tools and Tricks of the Trade. The heading illustration shows an empty cauldron with some supplies around it. In this chapter, there's a brief overview on the painting techniques used in the book, steps on how to practice it, the supplies list, and a section discussing the characteristics of watercolor versus gouache. Then we have the first ingredient, 2 tablespoons of trees. Here, our cauldron bubbles with the first additions to our potion. In this chapter, we will explore all kinds of magic relating to the earth and light magic. Talking trees, portals, floating islands, fallen logs, tree houses. The next ingredient in our potion is a dash of mushrooms. At this stage, our cauldron turns a bright teal color, smoking and bubbling. This chapter is sort of an antithesis to the trees chapter. In this chapter, we'll paint toadstools, gritty forest floors, and talk about necromancy. And of course, every wizard's dimension worth its salt will need a cat. Our third ingredient for a successful wizard forest dimension is for those wizards who love a good rock. Trees may be Earth's ancient beings, but even older than trees are rocks. In this chapter, we'll paint runes carved into stone, treasures hidden by goblins, and a cave of dear lost Cadmus the Uncanny. Our cauldron now bubbles to a tipping point, spilling its contents and threatening an explosion. And finally, the star ingredient, a hint of salt. This ingredient highlights any recipe's flavor and leads our cauldron to erupt in a celestial mess. In this chapter, we'll combine everything we learned and unleash some of the chaotic imagination you've kept tucked away. We'll paint ancient books that were never meant to be written, a rainy scene, a wizard's tower, and more. Throughout the book's pages, you'll also find little parrot apprentice notes. Of course, I tried to include as many parrots as I could, from the cover, the introduction illustration, and my favorite was the dropcaps. I love a book with illustrated dropcaps, so I just had to try it out in this book. It's like these little magical birds guide the reader's journey chapter by chapter. The book releases in stores worldwide on 3rd March 2026, just a few days away. I am beyond excited and also a bit nervous for the response. I put my best effort forward to make the tutorial simple enough to follow along. I've also created a downloadable pack on my website of the sketches, both an inked version and a pencil version, based on what the reader would prefer to paint over. Throughout the pre-order stage, I'm offering a special pre-order gift. The gift is a coloring page pack of 6 non-tutorial illustrations from the book to print and paint while you wait for your copy of Watercolor Wizardry to arrive. Specifically, the pack includes line art of the cover illustration and all 5 chapter heading illustrations. Thank you for over 150 pre-orders so far. It may not seem like a lot compared to other books, but to me it is more than I could have imagined. If I were to stand in a room with 150 people, all of them holding my book, I think I'd be quite overwhelmed. I truly love to create books. The entire process from ideation to writing and illustrating makes me very happy. So your support not only gets you a cool book to add to your collection, but also encourages me to keep doing what I love to do and create more cool books in the future, whether they're tutorial books or art books or novels. Thank you to everybody who already pre-ordered. I'm so excited to see what fellow wizards will create with these tutorials. If you look at the back cover, one of the first things you see is an endorsement from the lovely Devin L. Kurtz, who is the author of The Bakery Dragon, which is a really cool children's book about a dragon who is too tiny to hoard gold, so instead he learns how to bake. Devin was kind enough to write a lovely endorsement for this book, and I still can't believe it. So in chapter 1, we'll see a full list of the supplies, of all the supplies you will need to complete a tutorial from this book. The main set that I'd recommend getting is a set of 18 colors from a brand called Prime Art. They are a South African brand, but I can put the link in the description of where it's available internationally. Additionally, we also use very limitedly a few gouache colors to fix mistakes or add extra vibrance. The paper that you need is ideally something that is quite thick and can hold a lot of layers of watercolor, something that is 300 GSM or 140 pounds. The paper brands that I used for painting these tutorials was my Hannah Mueller cotton paper sketchbook. It looks thin, but it can hold a lot of layers because it's cotton. I also used agave paper, also from Hannah Mueller, as well as Fabriano Artistico soft press paper. There is no perfect watercolor paper. It's all about experimenting and finding out which paper you enjoy painting on. Because the sketches are downloadable, you can print it out as many times as you like and test it out on different watercolor papers. We'll only be needing 3 brushes throughout the whole book: a round brush 10, a round brush 2, and a round brush 0. Optionally, to paint rain in one of the tutorials, you can use a rigger brush, but if you don't have a rigger brush, that's totally fine. You can use your round brush 0. Now let's jump ahead to one of my favorite tutorials I'm really excited to show you, from chapter 3, The Mushroom Wizard. There is a giant traveling snail who visits from town to town, carrying a library of books of alchemy, mycology, and sorcery inside its shell. Just as you would never see a snail coming, it's always just suddenly there. This creature mysteriously appears and sets up camp in a new town every week. Its purpose? To spread knowledge, freeing folks from the shackles of their ignorant minds. I happen to know the wizard who runs the scheme. She's a clever, rebellious one who calls herself the Mushroom Wizard. In this tutorial, we're going to paint this wizard and her abode, inviting her to our dimension momentarily for our visitors to meet. On the next page, the first step is of course to transfer the sketch onto your watercolor paper. In the beginning of the book, from chapter 1, there is a technique to trace this the sketch from this book onto printer paper and then transfer that sketch onto your watercolor paper. But if you use the downloadable pack, then you can just print it out onto printer paper and then transfer it, or print it out directly onto watercolor paper. You can even use a light box or a bright window. In step 2, we always begin layering from the outside or the furthermost background elements using a very watery ratio. The exact color mixtures are also mentioned. For example, in step 2, one of the first colors we mix is vermilion plus crimson lake red. And every time a new technique is mentioned, it is also referred to from chapter 1, where the steps are on how to practice that technique. The first few steps in every tutorial is about blocking in the base colors and trying to use techniques to create texture. And the last few steps is about adding detail and correcting any mistakes. Watercolor is the type of medium that gets better with each layer that you add. Each step is further broken down into smaller steps and introducing new layers each time a previous layer is dry. At the end of each tutorial, we have the final finishing touches, sometimes with gouache, a final note at the end of each tutorial. For example, we have here, and now the mushroom wizard is complete, set on an epic quest over branches and forest floors. Well done, fellow wizard.